So, from one of the oldest racetracks in Europe, Spa, that is almost 100 years old, that you saw in the previous episode, to Parcmotor Castelloli, a track that is basically 10 years old when I drove it last December. So let me explain how I found myself in Barcelona and what I was doing there. Many years back, we met Enric and Javi and a couple of other Honda guys from Barcelona. We met them here at the ring. They had two K20 swapped Honda Civic EGs, and although there was a language barrier, we actually communicated very well, and you could see that they were passionate car guys that built their cars by themselves, and we liked similar stuff. Enric kept coming back the next couple of years, bringing more friends. He has also a very cool S2000, and one could say that they are a bit of a Honda crew, but I guarantee you that they like all cars. And if you see in our Instagram a couple of photos from their shed, they have a very cool collection of cars. And they are all fantastic guys. Enric, Javi, Adrian, and the guys that I didn't know before, Alex and Robert and all the MR2 guys, all fantastic people. So, of course, this is the perfect layer, you know, for a fantastic weekend. However, my trip to Barcelona was anything but fantastic. I had a numerous problem with the car beforehand, and even driving down to Barcelona, I actually had my key snap and I got locked out outside of my car in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere, somewhere before Monaco. And I had much more trouble that should be in this video. However, the guys have this can-do attitude, and they told me, don't worry about this and don't worry about that, just find a way to come here and we're gonna fix everything. And this is exactly what happened. I found myself in Barcelona, a place in Spain that I haven't visited. But again, I had this feeling, you know, from the first time we visited Spain as One Lap Heroes with a ring banana at the 24 Hours of Ascari, and at Madrid with our very good friends Jose and Pablo, and here at Barcelona with Enric and the guys, I had this feeling that, you know, like I'm at home. Actually, sometimes I felt even more at home than I feel at home, because the guys helped in every step of the way, because I needed their help also during the event, but we're gonna arrive to this later on. So basically, what is Superlap Barcelona? I will actually let a small clip play so you get a bit of an idea, but is an event that they organize. Is a little bit of time attack, a little bit of a track day. It's a very cool atmosphere. It's cool guys with cool cars having fun on tracks. So it's not like this uptight post thing, but it's a beautiful one lap hero style event. I will let the clip play. So yeah, this should give you an idea about what kind of cars we're talking about. This beautiful turbo S2000 that you saw there. This is our friend Enric, and it's an absolute beast. K24 turbo, 400 horsepower S2000, fantastic thing. Also that blue BMW that we saw, very fast car. Again, K series turbo, I think it was K20 at the time, and currently is K24. They have these very cool builds, you know, like I think the one is pushing the other, and they keep improving the cars, you know, like we made them with basically stock S2000s, you know, and now this car is a 500 horsepower beast. And Adrian bought his sort of dream NSX, you know, that is also like a very, very cool car that they are gonna slowly rebuild. And they have also a little bit of everything. The other Adrian is driving like a 92 M3. So a cool mix of cars and exactly the right mentality to have a fantastic weekend. But let's talk about the actual racetrack, Parcmotor Castelloli, which was the main reason I visited. And I asked them many times, around Barcelona there are more than a couple of tracks, and generally in the southern side of Spain, a lot of tracks have popped through the years, a little bit because of MotoGP, a little bit of winter testing for Formula 1 and manufacturers. The cool thing is that there is all these cool tracks there. So I asked the guys, if I was to visit Barcelona, which track you think I should do? And I think it was almost unanimous. They said, you should do Castelloli. So I realized as I started planning my visit that I have seen Castelloli before. There is this McLaren commercial. When they first launched the MP412C, people were a little bit critical how the cars were a little bit too clinical, you know, and they would not slide and they would not do fun things. And then they did this cool trailer that basically shows a McLaren sliding around a very cool track. And it's a very beautiful terrain, you know, like the track has an overpass and it looks very, very cool. And it didn't really remind me any other track. And then I kind of combined everything. That track was Parcmotor Castelloli. McLaren has a test center there. And the facility is very cool. The pit lane is quite small, you know, and you might think that the track is old school, but actually the track is very new. And the layout is fantastic because it uses terrain with a lot of elevation change. You can clearly see it through the lap, but I will also talk you through it. So basically it creates a quite challenging track, one that you need quite a lot of time to master. And it was clear that I couldn't master it in my first visit. So I'm actually grateful to Robert. Robert has a white MR2 that maybe you have seen in our page. It's powered by a Honda engine. And I asked him if I could sort of follow him for a couple of laps. It was almost impossible to follow. It's clearly the fact that I don't know the racetrack, but at the same time, I kind of felt that the car really didn't have any traction. Coming out of the exit of corners, I really couldn't keep up. It was interesting because the track is actually quite slippery. You know, it feels a little bit like the tracks back home. It's not like this tarmac, this super aggressive tarmac that you feel in some other places. But also, this was the first track day I did with the car on 17s. In everything that I have driven up until that point, up until December 2019, the car was on 15s, 245, 40, 15s, and the car now transitioned to 17s. And it is the only track that I didn't do on Nankangs. So basically everything else that you will see on the channel is on Nankang Air ones. I could not find the tires that I wanted, so someone had a set of Federal, so I ended up with some Federal FZ201. And that is the tire that I had for this event, and I will come back to this because it actually led us to an even bigger problem. But generally, I felt that there wasn't really enough grip. However, I understood that I could not really hang out with the very fast boys under 2 minutes. But basically, I had all my sectors there, and I think I could do like a 2-minute one, 2-minute flat, something like this. And as I went out super pumped to actually put that lap together, you know, I had a big surprise. I had the tire explode, and I was very lucky that I managed to limp the car back in the pit lane, and there was no real damage, other damage in the car. And that was a little bit of a dark moment. You know, I have driven from the other side of Europe, from Athens, Greece to Barcelona in Spain. And I only had like a couple of hours of track time. I had all these problems coming in, and now I was there in the middle of the day without a car that could drive, and maybe not even knowing how I will bring my car back. But the guys, as I said, they were fantastic. They found me a set of backup wheels. We put them in the rear axle of the car, and basically I could still drive it off the track. And then we sort of fixed the problem, and that was that. But no matter how eventful my day was at Castelloli, it was clear that this is a very, very cool track, and one that I would like to drive again, and I would like to unlock the time that I left there. So maybe in the future I can actually visit the guys again. I would not hesitate to go to any Barcelona Superlap event, like no questions asked. If the guys tell me that they are doing something at any track in the area, I would be happy to go with them. And let's look at the actual racetrack. There is no corner names as far as I'm aware, so basically we're gonna talk about like corners with numbers, turn 1, turn 2, and so on. And I basically think that there are 3 main sections, 3 very important things about unlocking a fast lap time at Castelloli. It's here, turn 1, 2, and 3, which basically is an uphill thing, and you have to stay on the power. Exiting of turn 1 is a very important thing because you go uphill, and turn 2, it's much faster than it looks. It is blind, and basically you have like the overpass, the bridge as a reference, and then you have to turn in fast in that corner. There is also turn 3, I think, is quite faster than you think, and you can make a lot of time before you turn completely around for turn 4. That is a very tight corner. The next important bit is turn 5 here. It's of course the exit to a big straight, and we know that any exit to a big straight is important, but in this case here the back straight is actually almost 2 times as big as the front straight, so extra important. And there is one thing about particularly this braking zone in the end of the back straight. It's something that they told me in the pit lane, but I didn't realize how bad it is up until I actually drove it. There is a huge bump, like literally a massive bump. You are gonna feel the car jumping towards the end of that braking zone. And it's actually quite late into the braking zone. So for cars without ABS, you know, it's a little bit in this tricky part that you're about to release, and you might be at the limit of your traction, you know, so be actually very careful of that bump. Coming out of turn 6, remember that you actually have quite a bit of space there. There is actually tarmac to the very, very end. It's basically the spot that you pass over the track, and you can actually use all the road in the exit, and you want to use all the road to the exit. 2 quite tight downhill right-handers. Again, difficult corners. I was not really sure if these like 4th gear corners, 3rd gear corners. Every time I would go 1 gear down, the car would be already ready to step out, so I didn't really fully understood what was the perfect way to tackle this, and I would like a little bit more time and a little bit more data to fully grasp it. And you come here to turn 9. Turn 9, in my opinion, is one of the most important corners in the track. You go on the accelerator a little bit too early, or you follow a too tight line, you know, and you cannot put the power down, and you basically destroy all this part, which again is actually as big, you know, as the main straight almost, because turn 10 here is just a kink, it's not really a turn. And turn 11 is actually a quite fast corner. So the faster you can do this, the more time you can stay on the throttle from basically turn 9 to the last corner. The better you do this, the faster your lap time will be. And the final corner of the track, again, it's a quite simple one. Try to be a little bit hesitant on the power. I saw myself and other cars struggling to put power down. Every single time you exit that last corner sideways with the car moving, you sort of scrub speed off and you destroy a little bit your exit to that main straight. I also want to say something particular about this track. You know, all the curbs are flat. You can literally run them very hard, but in a lot of them, before or after, there is actually a huge drop where the tarmac sort of connects with the gravel, you know, there is literally a big drop. It reminds me a little bit like some of the Greek tracks, you know, this is something that I'm very familiar with, but not something that you would find at Spa or one of the other, you know, like modern European tracks. However, there are places that there is a bit of extra tarmac there to give you a good exit. So in these places, you should actually use all the track. Turn 1, you should normally be all the way out to the curb. I didn't do it, but you should be all the way out to that curb and accelerate hard for the uphill. Turn 4, in the actual exit and the end of the curb, there is also a tiny bit of tarmac there to allow you a good exit out of this. Again, turn 4, because it's actually quite tight, you will find yourself going sideways, and it's not a good thing. All these things cost time. So basically, try to have like a good hard exit from turn 4. And turn 5, so turn 5, you normally want to wait a little bit. It's one of these corners that there is a little bit of a waiting time. But then when you can sort of see the exit, you can go hard on the power and you can run that outside curb. But be careful, because if you overdo it, interesting things can happen, and I've been there. So that is one lap at Parcmotor Castelloli. A fantastic time. I don't know if it is because of the city. Barcelona is fantastic. I don't know if it was because of the company. As I said, the guys are beautiful people, and spending time with them was basically like I was spending time with my friends. Or of course the racetrack, because it was a beautiful challenge. And a surprise even, because there was no historical archive or big motorsport events, you know, to prepare you for what you're gonna say. So basically I went as a blank paper, you know, and I found a beautiful, difficult thing that kept me thinking for days, you know, how I could actually have done it better. The two videos that are gonna follow are in chronological order. So straight after Castelloli, I drove Portimao, and then after Estoril. So we're gonna see them in exactly the way that it happened. Portimao was a racetrack that I really wanted to share with you guys. It's a video that I'm very excited putting together. So stay tuned for the next one. Leave a comment below this one and let us know how you feel about all these videos. And up until the next one, stay tuned.